All right, so these three people are our panelists today. Welcome, everybody. Officially, my name is Sajit Nair. I have Sarika and Meghna, who are co-leaders for Mumbai and Delhi, along with a couple of other people who might join in. But in the interest of time, we are definitely beginning. And before we begin, yes, if we could have a quick introduction from Rodney, Nishant, and Brittany, who are our panelists today. Rodney,
All right. Well, my name's Rodney Nissen. I am the blogger known as the Jerry Guy. I write a weekly blog with tips, tricks, and how-tos to get the most out of your Atlassian tools. And I have about 8 years of experience with the Atlassian stack and just try and help people out where I can.
Perfect. Nishant?
Hey everyone, I'm Nishant Shashi here from Austin, Texas, originally from India, down south in Kerala. Worked in Bangalore, Pune before coming here. So yeah, I miss a lot back home. So I work for Atlassian. I've been here like 4 years. I focus myself on IT service management. So everything you said about JSM. I was working for BMC's, I was a architect for BMC software, the Remedy, and I've been this in the ITSM space for a total of 16 years now. I don't know my future. I think since 21, I've been doing this. I was thinking a couple of days ago, like, should I do this for the next 10 years or should I? So it is a long time. But then I love the space. I'm very passionate about it. I'm trying to evangelize the service management, not just the tooling, right? It's not just tooling, how the solutions should be designed. And the tooling and the solution, tooling and products will come later. It's about how you design. And then, all the features which we announce in team, every team, and, the history, I can give you a small rundown later. But yeah, nice to meet you all.
Thank you, Nishant. Brittany.
Yeah, I am Brittany. I'm based in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. So Nishant, we're basically neighbors. So yeah, see you over there.
Yeah, I pass your
Yeah.
place when I go to New Orleans all the time.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Perfect. So yeah, I love Trello. I've been using it for over a decade and helping people use it for almost as long. And I have a blog and a newsletter. And I make YouTube videos. Generally about Trello, but also about like automation and productivity and also travel suitcases. I ended up making a video once about one and it really took off. So yeah, so that's me and what I do. And yeah, this was my first year at Team. So I, as much as an Atlassian fangirl as I've been, this was the first time I actually got to go in person.
Awesome. All right, so I'll drop the big question right out the gate, right? So if I have to ask you to choose the top 3 announcements that were announced at Teams23, and you cannot say Atlassian Intelligence, what would your answer be? Let's start with you, Rodney. Because that's big daddy of all. So I obviously am going to talk about it. But apart from that, 3 things that you have to, like, you picked out from Teams23.
Obviously the first one would be whiteboards for Confluence. Just the audience reaction when they were announcing it and demonstrating it was big. It's one of the ones I've gotten to play with since Team23. It's a lot of fun. I will say it's very similar to some add-ons that are already in the marketplace, so that was interesting. But as I said, it's a fun product to use. Can't really say more than that. My number 2 would probably be FedRAMP certification coming for US contractors. That's been a big roadblock to using Atlassian cloud products. So seeing that that's in progress and has a date. Fortunately, I've worked with government contractors before. I know how dates tend to work with them. So we'll see how well that holds up. And my third, I actually missed my first go around through the presentation, but it's the privacy security tab on the marketplace. Being able to see, okay, if I'm on the cloud product, where is my data really? That was a big one to me, and I'm excited to see that.
Perfect. So I would definitely ask you a couple more questions, but let me just go around the table and maybe check with Brittany and Nishant first as well. Brittany, what about you?
Yeah, so I mean, it's hard because Atlassian Intelligence was a big one for me, mostly because it didn't get much discussion in Trello, but I got some sneak peeks from the Trello booth about what that could look like. So that was pretty exciting. But Confluence Whiteboards was really cool. Just in general, a lot of the stuff I saw with Confluence and the embeds and like smart links and stuff, I know that wasn't necessarily new, but maybe it just felt like Confluence kind of had fresh eyes and like a fresh like UI lift and stuff that really, it honestly made me excited to use Confluence. I've always been like, I use Trello. I don't really use any other Atlassian products. But you know, seeing Confluence has actually made me like, oh, like since then I've started playing around with it more and trying to use it and seeing how it would integrate with Trello and things like that. So I thought that was pretty cool. I'm trying to think, this was an announcement for community leaders that I thought was pretty cool, but the one Atlassian where you can spin up like demo environments, I thought that was pretty cool. I know apparently that had been rolled out to partners before, but I don't think Power Up developers got access to that, or like, you know, and I obviously hadn't heard about it either. So it's very cool to be able to have access to like an enterprise Trello instance that, you know, when I'm making demos or people are like, can I do this or that with Trello? Like, well, I don't have Trello Enterprise, but I can now spin up a demo for that. So that was probably a big one for me. And then kind of a third one, this one wasn't, I don't think officially mentioned because Trello is kind of the baby one. But again, I got some sneak peek intel from the Trello booth and Trello dark mode, which I finally was able to get in the beta for that yesterday. It looks pretty sweet.
Oh, that I didn't know that Trello dark mode was announced. But do they have like a release date for that?
Oh, it wasn't. That's the thing. It was not officially announced. It was like mentioned at the like at the booth. Like they were talking about it somewhat at the booth, and I've seen whispers online of some people getting access to it. But I don't even know if it's been like officially announced yet.
Nice.
Okay,
Nishant's gonna be like, you're telling all of our secrets now. Stop.
I
Right?
know, it's like someone spilled the beans to you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, like I probably I'm getting see, but there's like enough people that have been enrolled. There's like a beta where like other people are seeing it and like asking questions, and I'm like, I don't know, I don't have it yet, but I finally did get it yesterday. So
that's great. Perfect. Nishant, what about you?
All right, so I'm going to concentrate on ITSM now. Okay. So the top three, so let's see. So the one is associated with AI, but it's very important. It's the virtual agent, which we are working on. So if you look at 2 years back, we acquired Percept.ai. So that's the company who had this virtual agent technology, the AI. So we've been working like last 2 years to try and bring it to Help. So if you know Help, which is the JSM chat now, was another product which we acquired as well before, 4 years ago, 3-4, and then we integrated that. So the beauty of it than many other virtual agents out there in the market, like ServiceNows and BMCs, they live and breathe in kind of like in their portal, right? They do have Slack integration, don't get me wrong, but ours is more conversational ticketing. So everything, even the virtual agent is actually embedded within your Slack or Microsoft Teams, so that, and then we can create intents. I'm not going in deep into that, but that's my top thing. And that's one of the top asks as well in the service industry, because, self-service, and I'll give you some examples. There's a big database company here they're here in Austin. They moved to, if you look it up, it's so huge, them. They reduced their mean time to resolve by 60% by using Help. They are not JSM users, but Help alone. And when we announced that Help is sunsetting, they got taken about, like, because you need to have JSM to get the chat functionality. But we did give them, so they are a ServiceNow customer, so they're not going to rip and replace JSM. I'm just giving you an example. how powerful, why we are investing so much in it, right? So we gave them the solution about, okay, if you have JSM, you could track your tickets, you can track your SLAs, you can have automations, auto reply to the customer in certain scenarios, and then you can really work on the workflows, which you do not get with standalone help. So we built a use case to them and showed them the ROI, and they actually bought JSM, being a ServiceNow customer. So we are a big JSM customer because they use chat for everything. So that was a really big win. So that is an example that chat is actually will deflect a lot of issues, right? So that's my top. And then things like, as Rodney mentioned, FedRAMP, but BYOK is another one. So we have a lot of customers, not only federal, other customers who wants BYOK. So that's coming up, which is great. And the third one, I would say, with the biggest pain point of JSM, is not in the back end, it's in the front end, like the Help Center portal. It is easy, this intuitive, but it's not in depth by any chance. So if you look at the quadrant, ServiceNow is right there, Remedy is right there, and then all the other players who have been in the space, like Shareworld, Manage Engine, they have customized support. So this is one area we did not invest yet, but back in London, we announced that we are going to invest a lot in this portal, and that was, re-emphasized here at Team, that this is what the portal will look like. And it's more about the unified portal, right? It's not about all Atlassian. It's about, okay, if you have a ServiceNow instance, bring that into our portal. If you have Asana, bring that to our portal, and then it's all connected to all that Atlassian platform as well. So it's pretty good. If you look at the models they showed you. So that's the third one, which I'm excited about in the realm of ITSM.
Perfect. All right. So what I'll do is I'll go back to Rodney, and we'll start with some of the things that you mentioned, right? So Rodney mentioned whiteboards, FedRAMP, obviously, which Nishant also said, and privacy and security on the Atlassian marketplace. So it's interesting that you mentioned privacy and security, because again, just like one Atlassian, the partners for a while have known about the privacy and security tab in the Atlassian ecosystem, and being a partner ecosystem myself, we actually updated those information and it's there. But I would like to hear your perspective. Do you really think that makes a difference for the regular Atlassian customer? Or is that something that is more of a regulation tick mark?
Let me answer with yes, because I think both are true. I know within my organization as an Atlassian customer, we are heavily concerned about where our data is. For those who don't know, my day job is with Activision Blizzard as a Jira and Confluence administrator. And where our data is hugely important because we're a very leak sensitive industry. The gaming industry is. There's a lot of people who like that information early. We obviously don't want to spoil things. We also have contractual concerns, privacy concerns, all the things you would expect with the kind of industry we're in. So one of the big concerns we've always had about cloud is, okay, where is our data? Is our plugin data with the vendor at some offsite server? Is it with the Lambda instance in Forge? It's basically the same place with the Atlassian Cloud instance. Is it somewhere else because of how the integration works? These are all questions we have. Being able to get that in a nice, concise place is going to be a huge, I won't say it will eliminate the roadblock entirely, but it will definitely answer some questions that have been difficult to answer so far. So that's for me. Obviously, it's a regulation concern. There are those with heavily regulated industries. Within the US, what I'm familiar with, there's HIPAA. One that's not talked about is FERPA, the Federal Education Rights and Privacy Act, where schools, organizations that are handling people's educational data have concerns there. They have to know where their data is. Obviously, there's FedRAMP and government contractors. I'm from my hometown is heavily involved with Department of Defense and NASA. So there's a lot of concerns there around FedRAMP and People who want to use cloud can't because right now it's not certified. Knock on wood is coming, but right now it's a roadblock for them. So I said it's definitely that regulatory checkbox that I'm excited about, but it's also just ordinary customers. We're responsible for the data on our instances as admins. That's just the nature of being a Jira admin. And having that assurance when we install an app that we know where the data is going and what the safety practices are around it is definitely peace of mind.
Perfect. And just if I, Nishant, Brittany, feel free to pitch in at any point in time, right? It's not one specifically question to one person. Perfect. So it's FERPA, right? It's FERPA. Am I saying that right, Rodney?
I believe so. Last time I had FERPA training was when I was at university. I was also working for the university, so required to have it. So it's been.
I had never heard of it. That's strange.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'd never heard that before until you mentioned it.
Yeah.
It's not as talked about as some of the other US regulations, but it absolutely is a thing. And as an IT worker at the university, I had to go through training for it, just like I did for HIPAA and all the other sensitive data training.
So, Rodney, is that for all of them? Because I do work with some universities, and I am not school yet, but universities. So I haven't come across FERPA as a blocker. So what's your experience in that?
Again, I was a help desk when I was in university. So how it impacts the Atlassian space, I am not quite sure, but I do remember that data residency was a big concern when I was going through my training. So it comes down to who has my data, where's my data, can I maintain control over it?
Yeah.
So so pinning, I know back in the day we didn't have pinning to the realm, but the AWS region, but we do have now. Does that answer that for a specific issue? We don't have to solve it now. I'm just curious. We can talk about it later. Another question I had, Rodney, is like you talk about FedRAMP. So there are different levels of FedRAMP, like high, medium. So where is Atlassian going to? I wasn't sure. So do you know? Because that also
I don't.
Okay.
I'm not. I used to be a partner. I'm not even a partner anymore. I'm literally just an Atlassian customer at this point. So I know what was in the presentation.
Right.
Yeah.
I don't think they mentioned about
it.
Is
not something I buy like at all. So
not you. You're not a customer. I don't consider any of you guys as customers. Or
awesome. Saying that about partners and customers brings me to what Brittany was saying, right? Around One Atlassian. So, of course, from partners' perspective, we got to know about One Atlassian a little before it was announced to officially community leaders, and it's amazing. But one problem that I personally have with One Atlassian is the 3-month or the duration after which there is no continuing that data. So I have to plan that this is a very short-lived, brilliant asset that I will have. After this, there is no way, no matter who I reach out to, nobody is going to extend it. I'll have to request for a new instance. Is that like...
I assume that is intentional so that people aren't using that as, oh, cool, well, now I don't have to pay for whatever if I'm going to use this in my job, like day-to-day. I assume.
It's not scalable for us too. Like there will be a lot of people. Like for partners, it was still okay. We do give access to them. And I think they also do it. So my team, solution engineering team, actually, we did this One Atlassian, and then along with we have an SE tech team who actually build all these things. So we build the scenarios for One Atlassian, and it's so powerful. If you look at the whole One Atlassian demo, it actually shows the power of the one platform of Atlassian, and also how everything is connected from Jira Line to Jira Software, how a product discovery happens and how the ops happen, and everything is actually covered. So we're going to invest, every part we are investing. So that will extrapolate our One Atlassian messaging as well. And it was really well received, what we actually did. And and the scenarios which we built and the data which we built is so easy to follow, and you can actually accelerate in your, so let's say you're a solution partner or you're a customer, you can actually show those value to your leaders, or to your, we do this for your executive briefing, because they don't want to see, okay, what is in incident management, they just want to see the big picture of the 100,000 foot, and one Atlassian actually delivers that to even XX. Yeah.
It was interesting that I was actually exploring it today itself, and I was looking at the solution VNet, if I'm not
Venient. Yeah.
VNet,
Yeah.
right? Yeah.
So
And it was
we
brilliant,
write
like
those,
the
yeah.
amount of options that I had in incident management. I think scale, agile and DevOps is still something that is being built, because a lot of it said that it's in work in progress, but the
Right.
ITSM piece is brilliantly made.
Yes. So yeah, thank you. So the great thing about so if you look at the journey of JSM, right, JSD was so nascent, it didn't have a lot of frameworks, and then now we have a team actually who has been in service now, who has been in Remedy, who knows that full landscape of ITSM framework. That's the more important. I also tell my solutions partner, don't hire an Atlassian or sorry, it wasn't me, Jira guy or girl, right? For ITSM, for ITSM, you need to hire like ITSM folks who knows the framework, right? Even solution partners, the same applicant, and then anyone can learn the tool, like not in depth in the first day,
Yeah.
but that can be caught up later. So so we wrote with the industry standards, and then when we wrote, at the same time, we also build these scenarios and build the objects, which is actually constituting, build automation. So you don't have to do any of those for, for a demo, if you want to do it like the one Atlassian way, and then the solutions we need, it's actually kind of like documentation, right, of why we are doing it, what is the intent, who is the personas, and and how do you run through a scenario. That's the intent of solution union, which goes along with this one Atlassian. And we are also working on more, as you said, DevOps. So everybody knows DevOps pretty much well. All you guys are experts than me. I'm not, yeah, DevOps was new to me when I came here. Not new to me, but I had to learn a lot. But that's the reason we invested more on Agile at scale. It's and ITSM to begin with, and then that's why the delay of DevOps. But then if you look at it, we still have elements of it by creating a software issue, a bug, or from an incident, and all those things. So yeah.
Perfect. That brings me to what you were mentioning, Nishant, around BYOK. So that's a brilliant concept. I loved it when I heard it about the first time as well. I would want you to just elaborate it in like a couple more minutes, and then we can have a conversation around it.
I'm sorry, were you asking?
So I'm asking if you could mention BYOK stands for obviously bring your own key. What does it mean for an actual Atlassian customer, and what does it entail?
Okay, sorry. So BYOK is one of the biggest ask for a lot of customers, because they all have that in their current solution, and that's something which is required by a lot of compliance issues, right? So every time we've been asked this question, BYOK, and our answer is no. There's no way, and that's another blocker. Just like FedRAMP, BYOK can be a blocker, even though we have all the regulatory compliance of the legal, the security, all pass. The security won't pass because of the BYOK. So bringing this was huge. So that's the reason. Like, if you look at it, all those customers are still in data center, right? Or they are forced to be in data center. That's the thing. So we have a lot of customers who wants to move but can't move, as Rodney mentioned, and they're not able to take advantages of all the fancy features which we have in cloud, which is not in data center. So yeah, BYOK is going to be a really big thing.
Interesting. All right. Now I'm going to just talk about some things that I actually saw in the deck, which I really liked. So I would like to hear all of your thoughts on that. First being the Jira product discovery. The announcement was big. We've seen that in beta mode at a couple of places. What is Jira product discovery, and do you think it's as big as some people? So I know some product managers who are super excited about it. And I know some actual Jira users who like, we saw it in our beta, in our cloud environment. We tried it, wasn't that great. Is it really a game changer for product managers?
All right.
Open question.
Well, I think Jira product discovery continues the trend of Jira, but for. We've seen this with Jira work management, Jira, but for core business functions. Obviously, JSM, which is Jira, but for ITSM. This has been a long-term trend. This is just the latest iteration of it. And I said, for the people it's for, yes, I absolutely think it's a game changer. Working with PM, setting up project management projects for them has always been a huge customized workload. As Jira admin, I'd have to go in, I have to build a custom workflow, custom screens, custom fields, all this to build a bespoke product for the project manager so they have the information they need to make decisions quickly, easily, and visibly. So having that as a just a default product where I can go, bam, here you go, it's done, saves me time as a Jira admin, and it gets them, as I said, it's not going to be 100% of what they need. There's still going to be work that Jira admin has to do to customize it. But as I told Atlassian when they asked me about Jira work management, if you give me 90% of there, I can get them to the last 10% to get exactly what they need. And that makes them happier. That saves me time. Everyone wins in that scenario. Yeah, I do think for the people it's for, it is a big deal. For the day-to-day Jira user, I do imagine there's going to be some of, okay, and what does that mean to me? Which probably not a lot, but for your project manager, it's probably massive.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's just the persona, right? So if you look at it, it is designed for them. If you look at Jira Line, it's designed for the VPs and C levels. So it is designed for them to really work, and then they could get user feedback. There are a lot of other features which Jira actually doesn't have, right? It is actually designed for, okay, I have an idea. What do I do with this idea? And that formulates. So if you look at the chain, it is from product discovery to the ops side. It's a huge chain, right? So that's what we are trying to cover and trying to finesse, right? Of course, you can do that in Jira, but we are getting better, always.
I was just gonna say that was my exact thought as soon as I saw it launched. I messaged one of my friends at Trello and I was like, all right, I don't get it. Can't you just do that with Jira? All of these different Jira products, can't I just also thinking with my Trello hat, I don't need a Trello for product discovery. I don't need a Trello for ticket management. Trello is the tool that I can just use however I want.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's what I heard as well. So I was like, interesting. But yeah, I think I've spoken to some product managers who've said what Rodney said. It is but for kind of a deal, and I'm excited to see how it grows. Will it grow into a subset of how Jira Work Manager itself has now grown into to the point now we have a partner specialization for Jira Work Management. Will that be something that will come for product discovery as well? Who knows? We'll see. Interesting use case. Next thing I'm going to throw at you is Atlassian Analytics, Data Lake. What do you think of that? I think we heard, by the way, a little about it into Teams22 as well, if I'm not wrong. Right? Briefly it was teased, but now it's officially been announced. And I think it will be available for GA this year sometime, if I'm not wrong. Nishant?
That is correct. So we had Atlassian Analytics last year. We announced it, yes, but then it was an early access program just for select customers and only for enterprise as well. Even now, it is only for enterprise customers, not even for premium. So a lot of customers are very excited about this because it's going to be really powerful. So one thing I will say, I shouldn't say, but Atlassian reporting sucked before, right? Yeah, and I'm open with my customers, and then we have to give them solution. Okay, go to custom charts or,
Easy BI. Yeah.
ABI and all those things, right? So customers don't want to hear this. They're coming from the ServiceNow world or Remedy world, or from any other world where and most of the customers who were in data center had access to their own data and create custom reports. So when they move to cloud, oh my God, we can't do anything, right? So that's why we built Atlassian Analytics, which actually it is like a data lake, right? So Atlassian Analytics is different. Atlassian Data Lake is different. So Atlassian Data Lake will have all the, not all, but all the main, data from Jira, Confluence, all the Atlassian stack, right? Jira, Confluence, Opsgenie, Jira Service Management, and going. So, and then this data is present in Data Lake, and now you have one source which is to consume it, which is Atlassian Analytics, right? But then the beauty of it is that you can connect to other sources, like let's say Aurora in AWS, or let's say Oracle database. So you could bring other data from other sources as well, or BI tools into Atlassian Data, and then you can marry the data. That's something really beautiful about Atlassian. So if you look at it, we did another acquisition called Chartio. So Chartio is a lot behind this Atlassian Analytics, and we built a lot. So also the great part, we are also shipping templates for Atlassian Analytics. So templates for incident management, templates for velocity chart, which you had. So all these templates will be shipped, and also you could write, you can create your own custom charts, and it's very easy to use. It's drag and drop. So it's way better. And a lot of enterprise customers, it is really important they have this because they crunch a lot of numbers from the ops side, from the Jira side, and if they can't do, they won't. That's the biggest blocker as well. So, but then so a lot of people ask about, will that be in premium? My answer is no. I don't think so. I asked that question myself. We all have that question. When does it come? So it might come. I'm not saying no, but as of now, I don't hear anything, which is because that's our biggest thing to go to enterprise, apart from the multi-instance, right? So in a commercial perspective as well, it makes sense.
It's not something that I've personally tried as well, but I'm lucky that I've worked with a partner who've just upgraded officially our instance to an enterprise level. So I got access to it with this week. So I'm gonna, all right, next week I've set aside some time just to play around on it, see what it's all about, and watch some videos, read about it, and then work on it. So I'm excited about it. I'm going to ask you a question which might be a little controversial, and Rodney and Brittany, please feel free to add on to this. Does this step on to the toes of some of the marketplace partners who are really on top of their game when this was announced?
You mean Atlassian Analytics? Yes and no. It does affect few customers, but if you look at it, we only are giving to the enterprise customers. The standard free or premium doesn't have anything. So though for them, they still have to go to the marketplace. So for the top-notch customers, yes, they will get affected if they have one. But some people just choose to stay in Easy BI if they're using it because they don't want to do it. Eventually they would, but that's my answer.
Interesting. And is expanding to other tools. So as of now, I think it's just Jira, Confluence, and Jira Service Management, if I'm not wrong, right? Will it include other tools in it as well?
What do you mean by other tool? Jira Service Management, Confluence? Okay, like Opsgenie.
Trello, for example, will it go to Bitbucket? Will it go beyond having the ability to pull in data from external resources?
The last part, yes. External resources, I said, right? We can connect to other databases or BI tools. So that's fine. I don't know the answer to the other ones. Sorry.
The Trello, that's again interesting.
I don't know. I have to check. I really don't know. I don't want to guess.
When I asked some of my internal sources, there was very much a let's just say it could happen, but it's not prioritize right now, but I kind of got the vision for a lot of this stuff is like, yes, but down the road. Like, yes, there's not in a hurry to integrate Trello with this, but like that we see ourselves getting to that, but it's not there now.
Yeah, do it, but do it right.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So now I know we are like 15-20 minutes away from like maybe the end of the session, or if you guys are okay, we might extend it for another 15 minutes because I'm loving this. I'm going to drop the big bomb, which is obviously Atlassian intelligence, but I want to start from Brittany, the impact on Trello. So how I got to know about that AI or Atlassian intelligence, I don't know if I should call it AI yet, because I was lucky enough to sit next to Mike during our leaders dinner, and Mike personally told me, Andy, and there were a couple more other people, and we were just talking about the impact of Atlassian intelligence. And he said, hey, you should go by to Trello booth and ask them to give you a demo of what Atlassian intelligence can do. And he was super excited about it. He wanted to, I guess, include that in the main demo, but they, due to time constraint or something, they would not.
Yeah.
That's why they said. So I went to the Trello booth, and the things they showed me were brilliant. And yeah, I would
they show you the like create a board about like charcuterie, and it like builds a board and shows you like cards and lists, or it's like plan a trip to Dubai, and it like isn't that wild?
Yeah. So let's start from there. So the impact of Atlassian intelligence in Trello, then we'll come to other tools, and then I want to hear from Rodney. What do you think about it, the future, or what are some of the things that will be turning points specifically? And then I'll maybe ask Nishant to close it up with what's the plan and what's the future. But I want to start with obviously Trello.
Yeah, I mean, I'm super excited by it. Like, I thought honestly, a lot of the Atlassian AI stuff was pretty cool. And I could see clear things of how that would, make sense in Trello for like, oh yeah, like summarize the comments on here, or like, oh, create a description. And like, the demo they showed at the Trello booth, like they showed that, and I was like, that's cool. But then when they got to the like, you write a line and it generates a board for you. I think it's super interesting. And we were talking at the booth about the effect it has on templates and what that looks like, because I don't think it will render templates useless, because I think we're all learning with AI. There's a lot of things AI does great and it's helpful. Doesn't always replace like human built things for sure. And so I definitely like, I think some people think it's going to get rid of templates, and I don't think it's going to get rid of templates, because I think there's definitely still a place for like, ooh, Brittany has this very specific use case and she knows what she's doing. I'd much rather see how she set it up than this random robot. Albeit a very smart random robot. But I can see for like more general sort of use cases, yeah, like honestly, I think it would be pretty good at like, setting up a team meeting board and saying, hey, I need you to make a team meeting board. These are the things we talk about every time, something like that. I'm sure it could be great at that. Or even like, I know this isn't a work use case, but I actually really think it could be perfect at like planning a trip and like being like, hey, I'm going to London next week, like make a board about, the things, plan an itinerary for me.
Yeah.
But even for a general sort of project too, of like, we're about to do a product launch at work, like make a board for me, including like the most important things I need to do, or like a product hunt launch, or different things like that. So I think that's going to be awesome. I see a lot of potential for that. And I think it can actually help a lot of people start using Trello if they weren't already, because I think one of the things I love about Trello is it's like Legos. It's like a bunch of like building blocks, which it's my favorite thing now that I've been playing in Trello for a decade. But for people who've never done anything in Trello, sometimes it's like, ooh, come play with my Legos. And then there's like a bunch of bricks with no like blueprint on like, how do I make a Hogwarts castle out of this? And you're just like, there's a lot of bricks. Do I put them like this, or do I put them like this? And so I think that Atlassian intelligence in that regard is going to help cross that over and help you immediately get to like, oh, here's what I want to do with this. Here's how I do it. Cool. Now let me customize it.
Do you see it including the power-ups into the picture as well? Like, for example, if I will ask, hey, do this XYZ task for me, will it automatically be smart enough to find a power-up which will do that, recommend it to me, or will directly use it and give me that answer using that? Or
Good
like
question. That's a really good question, because like I hope it does, because I think that's where Trello gets a lot of its power is, I mean, obviously it's a powerful tool natively in and of itself, but it's the add-ons on top of it that really take it to the next level. So I hope it does. But I could also see the I don't know, I guess the nightmares of I can appreciate how that's not going to be as easy to incorporate as it might sound. Like I'll just put it that way. I'd love to see that, but like I would also be a little bit surprised if it does right off the bat, just because I can imagine how hard that would be. Like where like there's not, aside from the Power Up marketplace, there's not really like a consistent like data set of information, and even that is, you know, it depends. Like some
Right.
power-ups are really verbose about what it does, some don't, some use the right tags, some don't, like,
Some don't.
and so I can see how it could be very difficult for that to be accurate.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking as well, because like then I was also like reading a blog about the trip thing that you mentioned, right? That somebody actually used it, Chat GPT, and like asked it to create an itinerary and went on that trip to see if Chat GPT was smart enough to plan for everything. And if Atlassian Intelligence can do that inside Trello, then it actually helps you plan that to the next level. Yeah,
But yeah,
interesting.
you know, you're right. It would be funny if like, yeah, use this power up that makes you coffee and brings you coffee at your desk. And it's like, I don't think we have one of those yet.
Skynet is watching.
Yes.
All right, awesome. So that brings me to Jira. Let's talk about Jira, JSM, what it means for normal project management, or you know, Rodney, your thoughts on it.
I'll say I had some inkling that some sort of AI was going to be involved in the keynote. A couple of weeks prior to the Team23, I wrote an article saying how you use ChatGPT for work. Well, as a Atlassian creator, we have regular meetings with the Atlassian social media team, and they talking about that article. And I can't tell you what's going to be in the keynote, but given you wrote that article, you really want to pay attention. So I knew something was coming. I didn't know what, but I knew something was going to happen there. And Zed, I was blown away by what I saw. Just the having it as an extra person on your team, that entire concept, I mean, it just frees up admin to do what we do best, which is build custom stuff for our customers.
Yeah.
Atlassian's a great tool set. They're getting better about having some of the edge use cases, but as I said, you're at best ever going to get 90% to where my customer needs to be. It's on me to get the rest of the way. So free me up so I don't have to worry about, oh, someone needs to group added or someone needs this done or that done. And let me focus on the work that I have to do that something like that can't do. Is definitely a interesting prospect I'm interested in. Actually, this is my second ACE event in the past day. I did one locally for our local group. And the big thing was asked to me last night is, does this replace Jira admins? I don't think so. I really don't. I mean, it's an interesting tool, but there are things that Jira admins do. Distilling requirements, going, okay, this is what you're asking for, but this is actually what you are trying to do, and this is how we're going to get you to where you need to be, in spite of just this being what you asked for. I don't think AI will ever truly be able to do that. So I don't think this replaces your admins, but the power of just being able to take work off my Atlassian team, I am very much interested in seeing how that works. I will note I haven't had a chance to play with it myself yet. I'm seeing if I can get it on some of my test instances, but for the moment, yeah, it definitely has my attention because I just see it being very powerful for helping out.
I think it's still in the early access program, if I'm not wrong, right? It's not
That is
available
correct.
for beta as well. Yeah.
No.
It'll be interesting to see when it comes to that.
I want it. I want it.
It's like a
I do
toy
think
you
it's
cannot
kind of
have. You
funny.
just want it.
Well, I was just gonna say, I do think it's kind of funny how much was announced that it was like, cool, but you can't have it yet. And I guess like this was my first team, so I hear apparently that's normal. And I don't know, I guess I don't go to, there's not enough companies that I'm like big enough thing. I mean, I guess Apple, I watched the Apple event and it's kind of the same. Like they announce the iPhone and you don't get it that day, but like they have a specific date where you can pre-order. And it's usually within like 2 weeks. And so I think that was probably a really surprising thing for me, is that they announce all of this stuff. Then it's like, but you can't have it yet. And I'm just like, well, what can you tell me about it? Like right now is the time that I'm going to be most excited and willing to try it out and go tell all my friends and like make videos and show, like, I'm going to forget about it. I mean, not really, but like, I'm going to be less excited in 3 months when it finally comes out.
Look at video games.
Is this a
I
strategy?
mean, that's true. Yeah, like the whole, I mean, movies in general, there's always a trailer that's a teaser. I guess I get it, but it also seems funny to me.
And the whole point
Also-
is, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Ron.
I'm saying the whole point is to get people talking about it, which I mean,
We
we're
are.
doing.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
it's working.
It's working.
yeah,
Sure.
and now I know what you like, what you don't.
Yeah. That's true. That's true.
And now I get like we invest accordingly. But yeah, that's how usually it happens in every team. Sajit and Rodney can attest to it. We do it, and most of it we delivered. I'm not saying 100%. That's the nature of product dev. And
If this
we
was a
also ask
blog,
for
I
it.
would
Yeah.
just add a data center in India, and just like that will be like the thing that Nishant
Yes,
just mentioned,
yes,
and we move on.
yes, yes. I know that's in the radar, right? Yes.
Yeah,
yes,
we've been hearing that for like years. I used to just to be a customer when that was announced for the first time at 2018 Barcelona, and I've been in the system community leader for 5, partner for 3, and I'm still saying the same thing to my customers now.
Yeah, that's
But
great.
coming back, sorry. So Nishant, on that note,
Okay.
what you just mentioned, I want to also ask you, because I know Percept was a big player in how this was created in Sol entirety, right? Was that something that was in the works before it was it was merged or brought into the Atlassian ecosystem, or was Atlassian working on it and then they thought, okay, we'll bring in Percept and build something as big as this?
Yeah, so the Person.ai certainly accelerated things, but if you look at it, we did have elements of AI here and there, right? We had the smart searches, we had smart searches in KB. So we did have elements. So we were working on intelligence as well, and Person.ai just accelerated it.
Okay. All right, perfect. So one thing that I wanted to ask, and this, like, Rodney, I would love to have your take on this, and Brittany yours as well. With the coming of Atlassian intelligence, Rodney said, like, is it the death of Jira admins? Not that, for sure. But does this mean the Atlassian certifications will also have to be improvised along with it? Because if I don't have to study JQL, because Atlassian intelligence will write it for me, why do I have to study that for a certification exam?
Okay.
Right. So what's your take
I think
on
that's
that?
actually a really good question. I think
Yeah.
in general, this kind, like, I've been thinking a lot generally about like AI in general and how it changes like what is cheating and what is knowledge in general, because like a lot of people are like, oh, you can't write a paper with ChatGPT, but you can write a blog post. And I'm like, I mean, okay, but like to all of those things, I think what's interesting is if you think that, like, when I was growing up, it was cheating to bring a calculator to a test. And now we're sitting here like, well, obviously get your work done. Like, don't do the math in your head. Like, we have tools for that. And so I think AI is kind of on that shift of like, we're trying to figure out, is it a calculator or is it like, not in that genre? And so
Yeah.
I wonder how it's going to affect, like, same with the certifications. Like, there's definitely a little test. I wonder if it will just change the certification or the process where it's just like, sure, maybe you won't be expected to know that, but you do kind of still need to know something under the hood about how it works, because there's still enough situations where I can assume it's going to write that query and something's going to be wrong. And like 9 times out of 10, it won't be a problem. But like that 1 out of 10 times, like, are you really, like, can you really use JQL? If your calculator gets something wrong, Not a good
Yes.
example because calculators don't, but like, you know what I mean? Like you still need to kind of understand what's happening under the hood with that, even if
Right.
even if you're allowed to use a calculator, you know what I mean? So I wonder if there's a world in which it's like, you still do kind of need to know that, but not in the same way that you might.
And I think Brittany exactly hit on nail. This question was brought up a lot when I was an engineering student. I took a couple of mechanical and aerospace engineering courses because Huntsville, Alabama, Space and Rocket Center, we're going to learn about rockets. And the question always came up invariably in every class, why do I have to learn this when we have CAD software? And the idea is you need to catch the points where the CAD software isn't able to catch it. For JQL, I'm thinking, great, it writes JQL. Is that optimized JQL? Is there some formal logic I could apply to it that may be able to help it perform faster? Because when you're running across a Lucene index that has 2, 3, 4 million JIRA issues, every little bit helps. So being able to optimize and formalize the logic in there, it's a start. It's a calculator. It gets you going. You still need to know the concepts behind it. But that being said, the original question, will it change how the maybe what emphasis is put on various parts of the certification exam? I absolutely think it will. Just because there's going to be parts of your job as an Atlassian admin that are no longer as big a part of your day as they were.
Yeah, I would love to live in that world, honestly, because a lot of my friends who are really good Jira admins have failed the exam on the accounts of those JQL questions. Right. And like, but yeah, I mean, that'll be interesting to see where it goes. But like coming to that, like something that I was talking to Mike on that day as well about that, like, will the ownership obviously will lie, as Rodney mentioned, that the ownership for that JQL's report, which might be published to a stakeholder, the ownership will lie at the Jira admin to verify what Atlassian intelligence has given you in that report before you publish it, right? Is that something that will be inside the fine print? Like, I'm just trying to understand what does this mean legally, Nishant? Does the customer like is there if obviously there's a risk factor when you're using something like an Atlassian intelligence to create a report that you are sharing, let's say, for example, a big customer. Is there a fine print which will say that, hey, you are using it at your own risk? Is that how it works legally? I don't know. So I'm just curious.
I don't know either. I'll write it down and maybe we can add it to the notes or whatever, or the YouTube channel. I can put it in the comments, that particular thing. I read it should be there. We have I just saw like 80 legal people here in offsite in Austin. So I was surprised. We have 80 and people like, for a big company, it is less. Okay. So they will work on fine print. Of course, we have to work on fine print. Everything will be also public as well, as you know, our trust website. So it will be trickling down to trust website for sure. If not now, because we are in early access, we don't have to do it now. Maybe I don't work in that portion, but I work with legal team. I also work with customers who would require that, and they do ask for fine print, and they also ask about data residency for these things. So yes, we'll have to address everything. So for example, the help portion, the JSM chat, it's not data residency, it's not available for that, but people are asking for it, so we'll get it. But in the fine print, it is explicitly mentioned all this, or we are no longer a credit card swipe only company. It's enterprise, so we need to do it. Yeah.
Perfect. All right. I think I'm just short on time, so I'm just going to talk 2 more minutes about Atlassian whiteboards. So that I think was one of the features that I really liked. I don't know, maybe I've been living under a rock. I was just not expecting it. I thought Miro or using those diagramming tools was the pinnacle of what it could mean to do diagramming or working that way in Confluence. But when whiteboards were announced and I saw the demo, I was blown away. I was like, this is really cool feature. I don't know why I haven't used it. And this might mean a lot more, lot more people will be able to plan their workout in a much more easier fashion. And the fact that it was able to push things in a sync fashion between Jira and Confluence, which really I think is cool. What do you guys think about it? Maybe we'll start from me.
I'll go ahead and get started real quick.
Yes.
Honestly, it looks like a fun tool. My team right now absolutely loves Miro. It's not my favorite diagramming tool, but it is powerful for what it is. Having something like that built into Confluence, like I said, just looks like a fun way to do brainstorming, fun way to do team meetings. I'm excited about what the possibilities are with a diagramming tool built into Confluence.
Is there like a date, Nishant, that was announced with it? I'm not sure. There isn't, right? You're on mute, Nishant.
No, sorry. No, it's just coming soon.
Okay, it's coming soon. All right. Brittany, your thoughts on whiteboards?
I mean, I think it's very cool. I love using like Miro and FigJam for various things. And so to me, it was like, ooh, cool. Like, I mean, I love those types of tools, but I'm not particularly loyal to either brand of them. So for me, I was like, yeah, bring it in the Atlassian house, and like I'll become loyal to that brand.
That's nice. That's nice. All right. Those are the questions that I had. Those are the topics. If you missed anything, if anybody in the chat, anybody in the participant section want to have a question to our esteemed panel, please go ahead. Otherwise, I'm just going to ask, what was the fun aspect of Teams23 that you guys really liked? Maybe from Bash, maybe from the Adaptivist pool party, which I missed because
No, you did.
I missed.
We missed it at the community leader dinner.
Yeah, so I did the community leader dinner, but I missed the pool party.
That's more important.
Of course. Delhi got the Atlassian Setting the Standard Community Award of the Year. So I was lucky for that.
Congratulations. Sorry, I didn't follow all this. The fun fact, that's great, man. That's great.
Yeah. But yeah, what's your take? What did you like in Teams 23? Let's start with you, Nishant.
So, all right. So for me, more than solutions, products, features, it's about making human connections, like connection with Rodney, connection with you, Sajit. I didn't see you, Brittany. Sorry, we didn't meet, but next time we'll meet.
But you are neighbors. You just said you are neighbors, right?
Yeah, we are neighbors. We're gonna meet soon.
Yes,
so,
exactly.
Yeah,
yes.
I'm gonna call her just after this, and we're gonna meet up.
Yes, perfect.
Yeah, about human connection. It's about customers too. So making these human connections are very important. Why I'm saying that, I had a couple of customers where like 8 years ago, I implemented their ITSM solution Remedy, and I saw a heavily regulated industry. I saw them here at Team. They's like, I'm using JSM now. And they called me 2 years ago to actually ask about it. But then that's it. And then I found them. Why I mentioned about human connection is that when you have human connections, it can turn into kindness. And when you have kindness, people will be more receptive to share their pain points and joy, right? We as an Atlassian, you as a customer, you as a partner, we tell our pain points too, like where we are in the journey. That actually will constitute to a solution much faster in a collaboration and work as one team. That is the major thing which I did in Team. I connected with so many people. That's how I connected with you, Sajit, last time. The Rodney, we didn't meet last time, but yes, I want to meet every one of them to actually make, and we could make an impact. I went to another booth and I learned about their product, like Mini Orange for the SSO solution. I had a customer who came in and she wanted the solution. I was like, wow, go there. Wow, because we make human connections. That's the main thing. Solutions and products and technology, everything will follow after that. We can solve all those issues. That's my main highlight for Team 23. And of course, the parties. So I did go for Adaptivist party. I went for Accenture AWS party. Yeah, that's the drill. Yeah, you don't sleep for 4 days.
Yeah.
And it's a marathon. It's so fun, but at the end of the fourth day, you are really dead.
It takes you a week to recuperate, right?
Oh yes,
After you're
I'm
back
sick
home.
after every event, but it's
I do
exciting.
not ever sleep on planes, and I slept on the plane on the way back. It was during the day. It wasn't even a night flight, and I slept on the plane. I was so tired.
Yeah,
What was the highlight for you,
that's
Rod?
great.
I think Nishant put it so eloquently, the human connection. I've been to 2 other summit events back before they became team events, and those were just as a customer, and that's amazing experience. Bash is always fun. Fun fact: this year for Bash, I was actually responding to an incident while at the party.
I
So, Jira adminning never stops. So that was a fun experience there. The human connections, the meeting people. This is my first time going as much as I don't like the term, I guess it applies an influencer. Someone that people recognize, talk about, read. So getting to meet everyone that I've talked to online and I've built this network around, but I've never actually met was such an amazing and validating experience. Because what I do, I write stuff alone, often in the morning, just before work, and then I push it out and people respond. It's very impersonal act at times. So seeing and hearing how it affects everyone and how they got that promotion or that job because of something they learned from me. As I said, the best word I have for it is validating.
Awesome. So before I go to Brittany, I'll share one anecdote from what happens at Teams23. So me and Rodney are just casually hanging out and we're walking on the team floor, and somebody comes and they start talking to Rodney. Okay. And I'm just standing there awkwardly in my true self, knowing nothing what to do. And somebody comes and taps me on my shoulder, who's a guy who like an hour before came to my booth as well. And he said, "Is that the Jira guy?" I said, "Yeah, but what's the big fuss? Like the Jira guy, the guy who writes blogs?" I said, "Yeah." "Oh, I'd love to talk to him." Like, don't talk to me then, talk to him. And in my mind, I'm like, it's just Rodney. Like, what's the big fuss? And then I realized, oh, Rodney outside the community leader is big. Like, people are coming and asking me, "Do you know the Jira guy? Can I go talk to him?" Like, please, he's the most humble guy ever. Go talk to him. And I was like, that's when I realized there are some really rock stars in the community leader that I get to hang out for free, that people don't get the access to. So yeah, that was something.
Sajit, that's when you need to be like, I could probably get you in a convo with him for like $15-$20. Like, buy me a coffee and like I'll queue you up. Like, don't tell them that, like, you know, they can just talk to Rodney.
So people
Stop by the Trundle booth later and I'll get you a meeting.
So
yeah, so
I would like to.
I would just name a couple more people like Brittany, and like there's Bob, obviously, like he's just written a book about Agile and DevOps, and he was like doing a book signing. And I was like, I just know Bob as like Bob. He's fun Bob. He's King Bob, like who's won quizzes, and we were in the Jira Align course together, and we were like study buddies there. And these are just normal people, but in the community, you guys are rock stars. Let me just say that: Brittany, Rodney, Fun Man Andy, Bob, Ed, everybody. You create content like Nikki and all these guys. All these guys are amazing. And yeah, sorry, I just got overwhelmed by like what that memory was.
Okay. Thank you so much. I want to add one thing. Okay. So before joining Atlassian, I did 3 years of research, like where should I go next? Because, you know, it's a major change. I have a kid, you know, be safe. So I was looking at ServiceNow and Atlassian. So I used to go for ServiceNow user group, and back in the day it was called OG, right? Atlassian user group. So I was used to go and leaders like you and, you know, people like Rodney. So I was looking at people like you and I was like, ServiceNow did have a lot of things, but it's all about the culture. It's about, you know, not only Atlassian culture, right? The people connected with Atlassian has a different approach to everything, right? be it technology, be it personal connections, and how teams work. And then I was so intrigued by the my experience in, so I didn't attend anything in India, but I attended many in Austin here locally, and that inspired me to join Atlassian. From my previous company, 22 people went to ServiceNow. I was the only fool who went to Jira Service Management. Back then, everybody's like, what are you doing? But I'm so happy I did it today. And I'm so super thrilled to work for Atlassian. And that's because of the ACE or org you're talking about. And thank you for that.
Awesome. Awesome. Coming to
I
you.
mean, a similar story. While we're talking about being inspired by the community, like, I mean, same. I've always been, as a community member, inspired by the community and the things that Atlassian does to like support us and help us. And honestly, it led me on a journey to, I didn't really mention at the beginning, but I actually work as head of developer relations for a company and lead community there. And I'd be lying if I didn't say that like a big part of that is seeing how well Atlassian's community worked and wanting to go like replicate that in other areas. So yes, shout out to the community.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. So yeah, Brittany, your favorite moment or what were your highlights on the fun aspect, not the knowledge aspect?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like, I don't know how to say anything different than what's already been said, because like, especially all of that resonates with me. Like, it was really cool that like from the like influencer aspect, like somebody came up to me and asked how my dog was doing. And I was like, oh, I love that I have a dog, because he's been in all of my videos. And like, but also it was just so fun to like see all of these people who like, it felt so weird to be like, I've never ever seen you in person before, but at the same time feel like I've known you. I mean, I have known them for years, and like we've been on Zoom calls and things, and it's just like, oh yeah, you're the one that did that. And like it was very, very cool. Like I don't know, like the human connections. I'm sorry to not come up with a more original answer, but like that was really fun. And similar with the product teams, right? Like the Trello team, I emailed with all of them, and like they were all so excited to see me. I was so excited to see them. Like it just, I don't know, it felt like in general, like we were at like summer camp, like it just the whole week long. It was the opposite of what I was expecting a conference to be. Like I've been to conferences before, and it's like you go to a session, you go to your hotel, you work on stuff. Like this was like literally just felt like a week-long party that sometimes you were talking to friends at it, sometimes you were dancing, and sometimes you were learning about product updates, but it was all a party.
Definitely, definitely. One, so 100% agreed about the human connection, but one specific moment that I would like to call out is community leaders dinner. And I think some of the people had left, and we started playing music and everybody was dancing. And I think Girish, who's the community leader for Bangalore, convinced the DJ to play a Bollywood number. And it was so fun to see Mark Ruth and Sven Peters and Bob dance on Bollywood songs. That was just so
That's
classic.
amazing.
But it was brilliant. But yeah, of course, like meeting all of you guys was the highlight of the event. Awesome. We are 17 minutes over the time that I had initially planned. But thank you so much, Rodney, Nishant, and Brittany for joining. I'm going to stop the recording, and then I am going to upload it on our YouTube channel, and so that anybody who did not make it, because it was Friday evening and people obviously have better things to do than hear four of us talk about Atlassian and Team23. But this was a very requested video, so I'm hopeful that my community and other communities who were hosting will see this and maybe reach out to some of you guys on LinkedIn, have questions if they have any. Feel free to reach out to me. Feel free to reach out to Mumbai community. Sarika is here. I see Arshia had joined, then she had dropped, but I think she's back in as well. She's the community leader for Bangalore, for Hyderabad and London. So if you have any questions, folks, please ping us. Meghna is also here. Gaurav is also here. If anybody has any questions, the floor is open. Otherwise, thank you so much, guys, and have a good weekend.
Thank
Thanks
you.
so much for having me.
Bye.
All right. Someone is happy. The call is closing.
Awesome.
Bye. Cheese.
Here is Arshia.
Oh, there she is.
Yeah.
There she is. Shreya Sultana.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody, for
Bye.
joining in.
Thank
Have a
you.
good one. Bye.
Bye.